Alright. Love is kinda crazy when
Whenever you're out alone, do you ever get the feeling that someone's watching you? Well, in today's video, we're going to be telling some scary stalker Reddit stories. And as somebody who's had their own experience with men who like to stalk, I can tell you it's not fun. Anyways, welcome back to Glam and Ghost Stories. Let's get into this. The first one is from I Love Cats and Food 15. When I first moved to New York City, I joined a gym. There was this guy who introduced himself to me. It was not creepy at first, but it progressively got worse. Every time I'd see him in the gym, he would always stare at me, and not the typical checking her out real quick glances. I'm talking staring at me dead on, like for 1 to 2 minutes at a time, no blinking. He always knew where I was in the gym. He would also literally start coming in on days that I would be there. He wasn't doing that previously. He'd always take a rest day on Mondays, and since I work out on Monday, he started working out on Mondays too and taking 0 rest days. He would usually come in around 7 a.m. and he'd start coming in at 5:30 a.m. when I was there. He'd sit in his car and wait for me to walk in and quickly rush in behind me. One day I got there 5 minutes late and he looked at me and said, "You're late. You usually get here around 5:30. And at that point I was like, yeah, okay, dude. And it got to the point where he literally found out all of my social media accounts. I never gave him my real name. He kept trying to send me messages and even followed me in his car home. I, of course, knew he was following me and took very specific turns just to confirm that he was following me. I was also on the phone with the police while he was actively following me, as I was generally very concerned for my well-being. Drove him straight into the police station where a cop met him outside. The guy drove off, but the cop got his plate number and later pulled him over. He had a rope, handcuffs, and a knife in his car. I found a new gym and thankfully haven't had an interaction with him since. That is absolutely terrifying, and I am sorry for whoever this happened to. That is so scary. This next story was posted by Dead Pulian. It was posted 14 years ago here on Reddit. And this says, a few years ago, my anxiety was high. I was already at the point in my life where I thought I was little out of it. But that was amplified a lot by when I kept repeatedly hearing noises outside my window. Like every single night. I would get so freaked out, I'd go wake my parents up and get them to look outside. But they never found anything. I started to think I was crazy or just subconsciously seeking attention. One morning, my grandfather discovered one of our lawn chairs beneath our bathroom window. It's pretty high up and the bottom pan is fogged, so I'm not sure the chair even helped, but it was left there regardless. The next night, heard sounds again. Nothing. The night after, however, we checked outside and discovered something that made my stomach churn. A small stepladder was sitting directly outside of my window, back just enough to allow someone to sit on it, but still see. On my windowsill was a bag of old, now cold McDonald's, which is just up the street from me. Most of the food was still in there, but still. Some fucker had been watching me, doing absolutely nothing of interest in my room without me knowing for I don't know how long. The cops were called. Nothing happened. I felt crazier than ever. No one was able to be found, but at least we had some evidence that someone that shouldn't be hovering around our house was at my window, watching intently through the blinds, in a space between the 2 curtains. I heard noises the next night. I ran outside. Nothing. Earlier in the night, I'd sewn my curtains together, which hopefully made it harder to see in. Apparently it did, because now the fucker had taken to climbing on top of our air conditioning unit, and from there climbing onto our Herbie/garage. Can then stand on that so that he could see above where the drapes went. The handprints and shoe prints were left on the lid to prove it. I also should mention that there were now holes in my screen, and I heard these holes be created. He took a stick and sharpened it somehow. We found it outside my window and was trying to stealthily break away the screen bit by bit. The hole is still there. The next night, I distinctively heard the gravel near my window crunch. There was simply no mistaking my sound. As I stealthily as I could, I let out a small moan he surely heard and rolled just out of view as if I were sleeping. Then pressed myself against a wall out of view of the window, very quietly opened my door and crept down the hall. My heart was pounding. Normally I knock on my parents' door, but I knew the slightest sound would make the bastard bolt, so I quietly opened their door and sneaked in, then informed them that there was, without a single doubt, someone outside my window. They didn't mind the intrusion and got up, got dressed, formulated a plan, and crept to the back door. I ran to the bathroom to stand on the edge of our tub and peek out the window. Just as the back door was thrown open, my parents ran outside like morons, and sure enough, they saw him. They started screaming at the man, leapt out off the Herbie, and bolted down our driveway, which was what I was looking at. They screamed all sorts of horrible things at the top of their lungs. "You sick motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking kill you from my daddy, you fucking freak from my mom." He ended up escaping across the street, hiding outside a house adjacent to us. The balls on this bastard, he kept peeking out at us as we all stood outside, but we wanted him to leave there so the cops could finally nab him. They were called, they came, and they searched, but they never found him. Bastard must have hopped a fence or some shit. Still to this day, I heard sounds outside my window in even the dead of winter, but he's never out there. He might have just been a peeper, but he targeted me specifically and for months until he was almost caught. What really, really pisses me off is that once he lost interest in me because it was too unsafe, he moved on to a house down the street with two little girls. He actually managed to get through their window, and their dad caught him just standing in the middle of the room watching them sleep. I still don't think he was even caught even then. All I know is that it could have been way worse, but it messed me up. I trust the men in my neighborhood even less now. The men around here stare very blatantly. I've never been chased home by one. I've had a guy try to jerk me into his car when I was passing him, telling him no, I didn't need a ride and to leave me alone. All these years later, I still hear shit outside my window and freak out. It's fucked up. I turn out my lights entirely to exercise. I do my best to avoid the windows when I undress. It just scares me, even though it wasn't a huge deal. Peeper fucked up my sense of safety, targeted me for months, was almost caught, then left me alone, we think, then moved on to a house with two little girls. Wow. That was definitely a crazy story. I'm actually like shocked. I feel like I've heard a story similar to this before, like somebody with a similar experience. This is why I'm very, very cautious about dressing in front of a window. I like to have blinds and curtains up. And I mean, even then it's not safe, but like nobody can get into my house. I have cameras on every aspect. I think every parent should for the safety of their children. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I just want to say make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below, and I hope to see you in our next video. Bye.